I've always wanted to go to Mars, so the opportunity to meet musician, lighting designer and music producer Bertil Mark at Hello on Mars, a creative community in Rhineland-Pfalz, a beautiful area of southwest Germany, was not to be missed. As you can imagine, Bertil had plenty of interesting stories and things to say. So can you tell me about this location?
Hello on Mars. I moved here with some friends like 21 years ago. It's a super creative and free space, and we're creating mostly music over here and whatever it comes to our mind.
And you do your lighting design work here as well?
I'm living here. This is my home base, and from here I'm been very thankful to seeing the world through music.
And we're actually in the studio at Mars at the moment, which is one of a number of buildings here, isn't it?
Yes.
And this is where you work and record music and so on.
And design light shows, and sometimes also sitting here with colleagues and with motion content designers, with lighting operators or other programmers, and creating the shows, transforming this musical space into musical light shows.
I actually believe your career started as a musician, didn't it? And then you went on to doing lights a bit later. So can you just tell me about the early times, the early years?
I have an older brother who started being a sound engineer, and with his friend he founded a little sound company, and at some point they needed some lights. So I started with the age of 15. I started with plug and play, actually, like really electrical cables plugging in and out of sockets.
Yeah.
Performing my first light show, and this, on the next concert I had like little foot pedals as well, so I could have more channels at once. And at that time it already occurred to me that it's like doing lights for music, it's incredible fun and a great solo instrument.
At those early years as well, when you first started doing lights, you were also drumming as well in bands, weren't you? You were an active musician as well.
Yes, I had the luck that my early bands also got record contracts, and so I was like a full-time drummer, and besides I was using the time on the same festivals. I was doing lights for friended bands and hopping from one coach to another, and yeah, I really love this touring energy, and especially festivals at the time, meeting a lot of other great artists, and yeah, I was like vibing and breathing it in as intensive I could at these days. And then step by step with a German band, Die Sportfreunde Stiller, they become huge. I was like part of their growing success, and also for me as a lighting designer, I could do more and more and became successful in this field as well.
You've toured with some quite amazing, some quite well-known bands, haven't you, over the years? Are there any that particularly stand out? Yes,
I had the luck to be on tour with a lot of incredible, unique artists, and I love music, and so I always had like a super wide range. So on one hand, I'm still touring with the No Twist as a German indie alternative electronic artist, very well known. What's funny about that, I attended like one of my first concerts ever. I went to a show from them. So, and then years later, I met him on a festival and said, hey, I know all the songs, should I do lights? Yeah, cool. And then it was like, we came together. And I also worked with Melody Gardot, like jazz field, so a complete different world. I'm working with Christian Järvi. He's a Estonian conductor, componist. So I'm working with live visuals and lighting with an orchestra in classical music.
Oh, that must be different.
It's very different, it's very unique. It feels like punk rock to me when we come into the classical, beautiful houses, and they are sometimes a little bit overwhelmed that you bring in your own production and stuff, but it's beautiful, and it's a great trip so far. And I also work with Lindemann and used to tour with Rammstein as an operator.
Do you think there's some definite advantages to being a musician and composing light shows?
Of course, there's advantages in doing that. So the best, you have a good timing and can adapt to that. For me, also becoming a music producer, it's in a way to telling a story, or like doing a dramaturgy. It's the same. It's the same for me when I'm sitting in the studio. It's the same kind of feel. So that's why maybe I really love these both.
It's that journey, isn't it?
It's a journey, and if I'm flowing, then it's the best.
What do you actually enjoy most about your work?
I really like the interaction with energy, audience, this kind of unique energy is happening when music is playing and people reacting to it. I never found something else.
It's very special, isn't it?
Very special.
That emotional bond.
I mean, theater is also special, and other
for
plays.
the same reason.
This is something different, special. I don't know. It's a different part of special.
I think you sometimes use Robe in your lighting work.
My journey with Robe started with the BMFL spot. Back in the day, I'm a huge spot fan anyway, and so with the power at that day and the crystal clear focus, I was very happy, and so I started to looking more into the Robe products. And another one is like the spiky. I really love the spiky, handy, small, powerful light. And back in the days, there was one Robe product I really loved. It was like the media spinner, stage banner, media spinner, this area, to use it on different elements.
You played in a band that became very famous in Japan around about 2000. Can you tell me a little bit about that band and about how you enjoyed your time in Japan?
The band called Sweetbox, and it was a German producer and an American singer, and it became super big in Japan, and I was able to tour a couple of years over there, and for me it was like a super inspirational trip. Me as my visual loud person in this kind of closed community in Japan, it was a very funny, lively exchange during the time, like old people coming and grabbing my hair and oh, tattoo, and I felt like really like an alien over there. But at the same time, there was just freedom for me as a person running around in Japan and interact with this society. And I realized one thing, and this is like one of my life philosophies I adapted and try to also visualize in every way and working in my working life as well. It's like you don't have to choose between two things. You always can choose between a lot of possibilities. So I'm celebrating the as well as aspect of life.
What have you been doing since the pandemic? Because obviously you're here, you've got this like great environment, you've got your studio, you still produce music. So I presume that you've been in a lucky position of being able to have time to do some things that you wouldn't normally have time for.
As well, and I think as a creative lighting designer, there will open other opportunities you couldn't fulfill before. So I did a couple of shows, for me also new shows. We did like a big Wacken worldwide. The Wacken Festival in cooperation with Live Nation did like a huge streaming festival, like nearly 15 million visitors over the weekend. It was very unique. It was a really a live, like live XR virtual festival live streaming. So I did a little bit filming with other director friends, a little talk show. I did set design and lighting design and was also operating it. And directly in the beginning of the pandemic, because I just came back from a tour, I started making music again and did a little vinyl we're releasing in February. This was my early COVID soundtrack days. I still have not the balance. I found the balance in learning new stuff get rid of old stuff, waiting, what's happening. So they're not only good days. It's a big wave coming in. I managed to make the wave a little bit smaller from time to time, but yeah, melancholy, it's around. But I always try to focus on the small good things I can find. I'm not good in it every day. You know? It's like a day-to-day basis, but most of the time I can do that.